Greetings and welcome back to SmartWatch Ticks. We're going to unbox this puppy today, but first I'd like to really thank you for hanging in with me over this wave of fitness bands we've been doing. I know you want to see Android watches. Believe me, I'm trying my best to get the new crop in. We have several that are in the air, on their way right now. We will be back doing that. Plus, I have a special coming up for you. I've been working on quite a bit and will continue, but the next video published, if everything goes according to plan, will be a synopsis of all of the active Android smartwatches on the market, just in time for the buying season, right? All right, let's dive into the MAKIBES G05. This comes to us from Geekbuying, and it is a sweet little thing. It does some good stuff, doesn't do some other stuff. We're going to go through that for you. But we do have it available on discount, I hope. Check the show notes down below for the buying link from Geekbuying. And as usual, if you're able to buy through that link, we appreciate it because it helps keep these watches coming in. What's inside this one? I don't have a lot as far as specs go, except to tell you that it does have a TF card or micro SD card support. So you could put your music and all sorts of stuff on that and chillax with your exercising. It's got a 240 by 240 screen. It's super bright. Wait till you see this thing. And it's super loud. Those are two of the main qualities I can say about this. As far as what it does, it's primarily fitness. So let's take a look and see. It comes in a variety of colors. This is a bright red one. And it's got the TPU kind of a band. Really thick. This thing is a thick watch overall. Look at that. Yeah. And you also have the USB charging cable, standard USB cable that plugs into the side, I presume. In here, there's where your SD card and micro SD card and SIM card go. You can put a SIM in this device. Very interesting. Let's peel it off. It's got its little plastic protective cover on it, which is a shipping protection, not a overall screen protector. Wow. Hard to get to this one, and it's on there really solid. Okay. There's more in here, it looks like, down in the bottom. There's a nice manual in English and in Chinese. Let's take the English one. Take a look. Oh, this is good. All right. Very, very extensive, and it's showing you color pictures of exactly what to expect. Wow, it's so big I can barely get it in the camera. Now it's saying, okay, you put the SIM card and the storage card together back to back and slide them down into a slot right there. Here's some more information about a barometer, built-in stopwatch, and a shortcuts page. The overall sports interface, you're going to like that. And then I think you've probably seen these beautiful color pictures of the way it tracks information, including your actual running or cycling path. Not against a map, unfortunately, but you can actually see the detail like that. Some more information. Here's your overall main menu, which I kept trying to slide out. It turns out you just touch it. We're going to find that, and then you get a whole scrolling list of things that you can get into there. Continued on the back. You're going to want to scan that particular QR code, or you can just head over to the Play Store and download the Fundu Pro. I'm going to talk about the Tethering app here in a little bit as well. Common problems you run into, and let me tell you, tethering is one of them. Every single time I'm having a pain trying to tether. Not so much because of this band, but because I have so darn many devices, all wanting space on the watch and the phone, and it's a mess. Rule of thumb, if you got more than one thing, take your phone and your watch outside, away from everything else, so that they're the only ones that see each other, and try and tether that way. Okay? All right, so that's what's all in the box. Let's get this thing turned on and ready to go. Oh, there's one more thing that was in the box I forgot. That's important. It's the special charging dock with the USB connecting port in here that you plug the wire into, and it slaps on the back to line up the pins so that it will charge the watch. Yeah, definitely don't want to forget that one. What happens if you try it the other way? Aha, doesn't like it. Okay, it only goes on one way, but it goes on good and strong when it does. There you go. It's not going to fly away. Look how thick that is. How thick is it, Mr. Tix? Well, let's find out. We got our calipers now. If you wanted to try to wear this whole thing with the charger on it, what would that be like? A triple-decker hamburger? It would certainly be thick. It would be 28.5 millimeters thick. Yeah. But the watch itself, without the charger, which is probably how you're going to wear this thing, is coming in at 17.7 millimeters. Okay, 17.8. It's a big one when you go straight across to measure it. Let me get my hands a little better here. Hold you there, bring you there. 51.5, 51 and a half. If you're looking at just the metal part itself, 54. Wow, this direction. I know, you're having to read it sideways. Sorry about that. And this way, it's kind of hard to tell, but, you know, we need to take it from here to there, and it's 51.445. And the band itself, in its overall thickness, is 24.2, and it doesn't look removable, folks, does it? If it were, it's 25.8 up here at the top, but I don't see any pins that you can take it out. Oh, and how much does it weigh? It's pretty heavy. Oh boy, this is going to be kind of washed out. Sorry about that. Let's do that. And let's pop it on here. And it's reading 81.6. Can you see that? Barely. 81.6 grams. But before we turn it on, let's see if we can get into this little thing here. I didn't come with a tool, so I've got one of these little stick pins to lift up and open up the segment here. And you can see that we've got inside a little tray right there. And if I pull on it, I can bring the tray out, and there's my two sides. So, if I were to take a SIM card and a micro SD card, you want to turn them with the outside facing out, like that, and this facing out, like that. Does it go on this side? Well, you know what? You can't use a nano SIM. You got to use the micro SIM. So you'd have to put this in one of those trays. Or if you've got a micro SIM card, you could put it in directly. Either way, you get that in there. You get this thing in there. And whatever way it all fits. Okay, that fits that way. Because see, it's got the cutout in the metal. So that's for the memory card. And then this would be your SIM card if it's in the right format, and then you'd simply take that thing with those two things together, slide it back into its space, and you're all inside. Whew, okay. That's how you'd install everything. Now, let's play with this. Let's move those away. I don't have an active SIM to try testing out the cellular on this one right now, so that's just to show you how to put it in. Listen at how loud this is. I'm going to turn it on, and here we go. GPS Sport Watch. I mean, you can hear that all the way across the schoolyard, can't you? Now, there's the opening screen. It's got 3 different watch faces in it. I'm going to brighten it up first by sliding down and tapping on this little pie chart. And each time I tap it, it gets it brighter and brighter until it's full brightness. And if I touch here, I can change to an analog watch face, or touch it again, and I change to another analog watch face that's showing you your steps. That looks like male or female, and that looks like calories burned. And here we go back again. It's saying that there's no SIM card in it in here. Anyway, there's data on it. That looks like a telephone. And back to here. So you only have those 3. Whoops, I must have touched the symbol for calls. Notice that it has local and Bluetooth. That means this does both. It's a dual mode device. If you have this set up with your phone tethered, you can make Bluetooth phone calls through your phone and talk into your watch. Or you can use the SIM card, hit local, and you can make a local call without having to have your phone with you. That's the whole meaning behind dual mode. And that happened because I touched that. If I touched that, that would go into my messaging area, and I could check my text messages or write a text message and so forth. Shortcuts. Speaking of shortcuts, up here you have volume on, silent mode, or vibration only, I believe. You have the QR code to scan to bring up Fundu Pro, which is your tethering app on the phone. We just went through this. I'm going to leave it about that brightness. And that'll turn on Bluetooth so that you can sync to your phone. All right, when you go down, you start to loop through a whole bunch of different things, like today's step count, I guess. 130 so far, not that much, 2.6% of my total. And so there's 2 dots. That means over here I have a chart. There's yesterday and today's results. Haven't gone out and worked with it. It's got set a 5,000 step goal, but this is where it would accumulate that information. You go up one more, and you're getting your sleep information. Here's last night's sleep report. I slept 7.8 hours, of which only a half hour was deep sleep, which is why Mr. Tix isn't all enthusiastic this morning, I guess, with a light sleep of 7.3 hours. Yeah, I tossed and turned quite a bit last night. And here's the week's chart on sleep time. Then you go here, and you get your heart rate. Interesting. We're going to talk about the heart rate. If I click it, it'll start the diodes up on the back, and it'll start doing the heart rate calculation. And it's continuous until you stop it. After you stop it, you can... Wow, interesting. I used to be able to slide over. So you know what? I'm going to start it. There it's flashing. Put my finger on it. Let it calculate something, because it can take me to a history file, but I think it does it after it actually has the latest data. So you wanted to see this anyway. And another aspect of this that I've already tested is if you take your finger away, it does sense that you're not there, and it will drop out, and it won't continue taking your heart rate. Now, as with most of them, it kind of jumps in at some place, and then it starts calculating over time a more correct heart rate, and then it hovers up and down a little bit around that rate. I'm nowhere near 92 where it started. I'm probably in 60s to 70s, somewhere in there. And it seems to be running up and down along that scale. Quite a bit of variability, mind you, but we're hoping in the long run the average heart rate is going to be correct. So I'm going to click to end, and now it says the history, enter history. When I go here now, which I couldn't get to before, here's the history report just taken, high of 92, low of 72 with an average of 79. It tells me the basic time of that measurement, but it's not telling me the period that was over, nor is it giving me a breakdown of my heart rate or pulse by minute. So if I were exercising, I could follow its peak and its fall off. It's just giving me those 3 numbers for each of the sessions that I've done. Some of these I ran for 20 minutes, some of them for just briefly. But you do get at least a summary of the average in the middle, which, if you're sedentary, would give you a nice good baseline, I presume. Okay, and now notice I can't go over there again. I have to take the pulse first. Kind of a drawback, I think, if you wanted to check your records. Here's the barometric pressure. Not sure how it's deriving that, if it's from an instrument inside, or I presume it is, because it's not tethered to anything right now, so it's not getting it off the internet or from the phone. Then you have a built-in stopwatch, basic, simple, but it's nice and big, easy to see. You can pause it. You can do lap times. There's the first one, and a second one, and a third one. And I'm not able to scroll those. If I pause it, I'm still not able to scroll them. Oh, you touch it, and there you can see all of your lap times. Okay. And I presume I can clear it. Okay, stopwatch. And then we're back to that first one that we scrolled up to. So you see these things loop all the way around. Different panels, including this shortcut panel with all of those things on it. Coming over to the left, if you're connected, you'll have your notifications. And coming over to the right, now we get into the fitness stuff. And then one more tab here takes us into our whole app drawer of all the basic things like your phone dialer, your Bluetooth connection, your phone book, your call logs, reminder notifier, remote capture if you want to take a picture remotely, your text messaging, file manager for locating your music that you put on your SD card, for example, or other files, sedentary reminders built in here. There's the QR code for downloading the Tethering app. You have an audio player. If you have music, that's what you would use. Your overall settings, a built-in sound recorder, alarms, calendar, calculator, world clock. Okay? The sound recorder, haven't tried that. Let's do it. This is a sound recording test using the MAKIBES G05 Smart Watch GPS Bluetooth device. Just read that off of the product sheet. Let's play it. This is a sound recording test using the MAKIBES G05 Smart Watch GPS Bluetooth device. Pretty loud, kind of flat. Could be louder. But with the file manager and the SD card, I imagine you could transfer that over and be able to export it and use it externally in your phone or computer or however you would like. Maybe attach it to an email. And that's here in that sound recorder. The other thing I want to show you quickly are the settings. You can set your home city in here, and that's what you'd use for the world time. Once you set where you are, when you go into the world time, you get this whole picture of the world. Let's do Anchorage for an example. And then you go down here to the bottom, and not in setting, but here. Now we're in world, and it says Anchorage time is right here. And I think you can move to other locations. Anchorage, come on you. There, you have to do it this way. But you see the world time changing according to the crosshairs and the city that you're identifying based on what you set as your home time. I know, took me a while to figure that out. That's what's going on there. Here's your clock where you can do your time sync and your date and your time set, and your time format does support 12-hour. Your overall sound, that you can set ring only, vibration. We've seen those. Here's your different tones. And good volume on here. Different ringtones. I'm not going to play them all, but... well, they're odd. I haven't heard these before, have you? Huh. Interesting. Okay, there's only 5 of them. And then notification tones as well. This is a loud watch, folks. Listen to that. Man. I've noticed the sounds that are around the middle frequencies tend to really blast out of watches. So if you definitely want to hear your watch, you're going to want to pick tones and ringtones and notifications that are really like that, in the middle audio range and really bright. And your basic beep. Okay. So, we got our sounds okay already. I just wanted to leave. And those are all set. Then your volumes, these are up all the way right now, 666. 6 different increments of volume, so you can turn it down pretty soft if you want to on some of those things. That's then the display, a maximum of 60 seconds, but you can go as short as 10 seconds on if you want. You can adjust the brightness here incrementally. Well, it is still a slider. And again, that's the lowest all the way up to the brightest. And it does pretty decent. It should be viewable outdoors. Wow, if you miss and you go all the way back by hitting the button, it takes you a while to get back into settings. International are all of your languages, and these are the supported languages. Oh, auto sync on. I turn it off, and now I can go into languages. And English, French, Spinach, yes. I didn't get much sleep last night. Okay. I got corrected. That's not Dutch. That's German in Dutch. I mean, that's German. Yeah. Anyway, sorry for that. I won't comment on the languages anymore because you'll know yours if you see it there. I'm going to turn auto back on, which means it's going to derive the language from the phone. Yeah. Okay. Are we done yet? Let's see. Settings. That was international. Motion is if you turn your arm, it'll show the time. Reset flight mode. Those are the only things left. So, and about. Why not? There's about. There's all the information on it. Connection information. Its version number. And its release September 22nd, 2017. All right. Do we cover everything in here? I think we did. Yeah, we went all the way down to world time. That was all done, right? Then we back out of there and we get into the different sports categories. You have walking. You notice you can't go any higher, so you have to grab it from here. Walking, cycling, and running are the main things. You have a history file, and then you have your sports settings. Now, we've seen this implementation on other watches, and a little bit more robust, I got to mention, on other watches. Here you can have metric or imperial units. You can have an alarm per mile. You can have a pace reminder, so it'll, I guess, beep when your pace is on. A cost time reminder, which is I think, time. So we had a distance alarm, a time alarm, and a goal mileage, if you reach your goal mileage. Then there's this daily sport thing. And then your personal data, which you put in here, your age, your height, your weight, and stuff like that for all the other calculations. What it doesn't have, and things like we've seen on the Amazfit Pace, and of course that's a huge mega watch, are different other thresholds like you can do on your heart rate. So it'll let you know if you're above a threshold, so you stay in your aerobic zone and other kinds of goals. So it's got some stuff that's usable on here, but not a huge inventory of possibilities. Your history, although I don't have any, I tried to accumulate a little bit, but it's kind of light on here. It's probably better to look at the history on the app. But anyway, you get into these, and you have walking and cycling and running, and opening GPS will cause the device to acquire the GPS signal, and it will lock when that stops flashing. My test of this, my initial test, was it took 5 minutes before it actually locked up. In fact, I gave up on it and just started walking around, but left it on, and finally it beeped, and it said it had a good signal lock. I've had little tiny bands you've seen me review recently that I get a GPS lock as soon as I walk out the door. So I'm a little disappointed in this huge thing, not able to really get a good GPS sync. And without that sync, it's not doing anything. There's no go button. There's only one button that's going to take me out of here, right? There's my track if I had GPS. Here's my data if I had data. And I go over here to finish it or not. And if I don't finish it, and I come back here, and nothing goes to the right, I can't do a run. I can't do a walk. I can't do a cycle without GPS, and GPS isn't locking up very well. Just saying, something to consider. So how do I get out? I finish it, hit the check mark, didn't record it, but I'm out. Same thing happens with cycling, running, and walking. So go, and nothing's going in. But notice the things you have, like altitude change when you're cycling, your mileage, your kilocalories consumed, your average speed, and your average pace, which is different than your walking and your running. You know what? I could try this. I could try running with no GPS. Now it might just actually take off and happen. Let's see. Okay. There you go. You can do runs and cycles and walks without GPS if you turn it off. But if you have it on, it's not going to start accumulating the data until it locks up. But here you have these different things: your average cadence, your mileage, your calories consumed, your pace, and your speed. And that's the same for both running and walking. And finish. And that covers everything in sports. We've covered everything here in the main menu in the app drawer. We have covered the 3 different watch faces. And we've covered all of the items that you get to through scrolling. So that's everything about the watch. Now let's take a look at the app. I want to talk to you about the Fundu family of apps. And I mean family because some of these may tether with your device directly in an earlier version, or you may need to use the newer version. There's like 3 main ones. The newest one is called Fundu Pro. That's what we're going to talk about now. But a previous one was called Fundu Wear. And the devices that sync to Fundu Pro may actually work with Fundu Wear. And another one called MediaTek Smart Device. Now, we've commonly used this one if you're going to try to add additional watch faces to your device, but then you uninstall it and go back to one of these other ones for actually running. Kind of crazy, but that seems to be the way it works. Fundu Pro is the newest one, and I have it installed here, and it's a sport, health, fun live thing. It's fairly recently updated, as you can see in here, October 23rd. This is Halloween, actually. Happy Halloween, everybody. So they're actively working on this one to keep it going, and it does a variety of different things, including it now has this expansion window to show full screen history. And this is how you go over and connect the device. So it's got a little bit of information there, and more of that, of course, available in the app itself. So let's open it. When you have it installed, you land in this whole opening page once you've got it all going. If you go over here to more, you're going to see this is where it's going to try to connect. I currently have Bluetooth turned off, so it's not going to connect, but I have some data in here to show you. The connection is a pain, and I don't want to waste both of our times doing all of that stuff. So I'm not going to show you the active, interactive stuff like taking a photo or making your watch beep, whatever. But here you go. You come back over to me, and that gives you information from your yesterday stuff and what you're doing today and your overall best information. And you can set your icon and more information about you as well. And there's 3 tabs here. So if I tab over, I can show you the average. Okay, that was the best. This is the average steps, miles, and calories. And last week's information. So if you're working out against yourself, this is a good way to keep track of that stuff. The second tab is analysis. When I get in here, it shows your overall sports statistics for the week. You can't do much more on here except expand it, and you can go one more page over for sleep. So I expand it, and if I had information, it would start accumulating all of that stuff by date. And then within that, you'd be able to see several days information, up to 10K, it's saying, for steps. And then your average information there. There's the back button. And now we have sleep. So if I slide the whole thing over to sleep, it shows last night's sleep, total time, 7.85 hours, average time, 1.12. And again, not much there. I can't touch on that to show more details. I can expand it and show you the summary, but no fine details. 1 month, 6 month, and 1 year charts are available. So they really expect you to stick with this app. By the way, you can export any of these pages to these different sources, but look at them. None of them are actual fitness things like Starvia or Runtastic or any of those where you'd actually export your track. This just looks like it's going to post your basic core information, maybe even just a screenshot to Facebook or LinkedIn or wherever. So kind of limited in the export capability, but and that's kind of, I think, a drawback, because I'm really looking for, if a band has a GPS in it and it's able to accumulate your track, it should be able to export that whole track, and then you could actually use it. So you could see where in your trail going up that hill, what was your accumulated altitude change? How did your heartbeat change? What was your stride, your cadence? Anything that you'd want should be available, but it's not. So this is a limited app and a limited device. The center one we saw, that was your main overall opening thing. When you click on settings, you can get in here and turn screen on, vibration settings, auto pause, auto stop. You can have a moving target, it says. Right now it's free to run, or you can set mileage goals or time goals or calorie goals, okay? And that might get the band to, or watch, to vibrate for you. The countdown is set for 3 seconds, and that's when it acquires GPS, or you start it without GPS and you see the second countdown, so you can get yourself ready and go right on the money. Here's your different types of maps. You can have Google, you can have a German map, a Google map, normal maps, or satellite maps. Those are all built into this, which is a nice additional feature, especially if Google Maps doesn't work in your area. This little time thing over here is your overall synopsis of each of your days that can take you into, whoa, where are we going? Into here. I think we just looped and came right back to our main opening page on this particular date. Okay. We didn't go across the top, did we, on this tab? We're on this tab now, so let me show you some stuff. Let's go back to sport. That's where we started out with. That's your opening page. That's what we were looking at when we just tapped that, and now we just tapped that, which took us basically to the date and the steps page here that thing went to after we went through the summary. All right, so here's your total steps, your total goal, and information here. When I go over here, here's the sleep information. Now I've got a little bit more: light sleep, deep sleep, and total duration, but I don't have any charts and don't have anything more I can see, just the synopsis that it was poor quality. I could export this. That's a sync button. You touch that and it'll try to sync the latest data from the watch. From sleep, I go to heart. Here's the heart rate chart showing me the last one was 73, and this changes real time live. If you are synced up and you're doing your heart rate on the band, you will see it change right here. But I can't go in and show you a chart over time, just the totals. BP, blood pressure. Now we're getting interesting. Depends on what device you have. This is a generic app. A lot of companies use it with their products. If your product has blood pressure, you'll have information here. If it has blood oxygen, SpO2, it'll have your blood oxygen reading here in percentage, and your maximum and average and minimum as well. If you don't have any of those, they're just going to perpetually display 0. And if you haven't taken your heart rate, it's going to be 0. Okay, the report now, this tab is where you have your overall activity reports. Now it's getting a little more detailed. Here's the activity report in steps. Here's the activity report in last night's sleep. The tall ones being the deep sleep, I presume, and the shorter ones being the not so deep. And then you have your heart rate report. And I have just one data entry in here, although yesterday and today I ran it for quite a while to accumulate different reports on here. Oh, it's beeping at me. No blood oxygen and no blood pressure reports. So we've seen more robust apps that show you your high and low values, and then a chart that goes across it, and then even a category down below of what percentage of your time you were in different zones. This app doesn't do that. So when you're looking at buying a fitness device, always check to see what the Tethering app is that it's going to be using, because that'll tell you a lot about what kind of data you're going to be able to get. And that's the data report. And then more is a tab that shows you your application push. These are the different apps on your phone that you would like to push notifications to your watch, Messenger or something like that, Facebook. Here's call notifications, SMS. You can take a photo. You can place a Bluetooth call. This talks about tethering your phone or your phone to your watch or your band, and being able then to use the device to make and receive phone calls. The find a device will make it vibrate, and here's where your overall unit settings changes are. Metric or inches, and you have Celsius or Fahrenheit capability. Okay, but that's in Chinese up there. So they haven't done 100% conversion to English yet. And that's the opening screen. That gives you your synopsis picture of your data. That's the device itself. And once again, you are looking at the MAKIBES G05. It's a fitness band primarily. Doesn't do a whole lot of other apps, although it has a few things in there like a stopwatch and whatnot. We have it from Geekbuying. Look in the show notes down below, and we'll have a buying link for you there. And definitely come back, because I got some good stuff on Android watches coming up.